Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right, working harder than ever, checking all the boxes, but somehow you're more exhausted, more stressed, and further from the life you actually want? What if I told you that working hard and hustling isn't the problem? What if it's something completely different, something you may have never even considered? And today, we're going to dismantle it piece by piece. Welcome to today's episode of The Hustle Trap. I know that sounds controversial, but stick with me. Because what I'm about to share isn't just motivational fluff. It's the uncomfortable reality that the system around you never wanted you to figure out. Because somewhere between your first job and your 40th birthday, someone tapped you on the shoulder and said, "You know what? Maybe you should work smarter, not harder." And you probably nodded along. But did you ever stop and ask, why didn't anyone say this sooner and more often? Why did it take 20, 30 years for that sentence to reach you? Who decided that the truth had an age requirement? And more importantly, who benefited from you not knowing it sooner? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share isn't about being lazy. It's not about quitting or giving up. It's about understanding the difference between effort that builds your life and effort that just makes someone else rich. From the moment we could process language, the message was the same. Work hard and you'll be rewarded. Hard work always pays off. It sounds fair. It sounds right. It sounds like the kind of thing that should be true. But here is a better question. Is it an absolute regardless? Is it a guarantee? If these two questions cannot be answered the same way, that's exactly what makes it dangerous. That's what makes it a trap. Because here's the thing about traps. The best ones don't look like traps. They look like wisdom. They look like love. They look like guarantees. They look like the advice of every well-meaning adult who ever cared about you. Traps never need walls when it has beliefs. It doesn't need chains when it has comfort. And it doesn't need a lock when you've been convinced that this is exactly where you're supposed to be. Your parents didn't lie to you on purpose. They passed down what they were handed. A belief system built for a world that no longer exists. A world where you could walk into a factory at 18, work hard for 40 years, and walk out with a pension and a sense of dignity. That world is gone. But the belief, that stuck around. We are operating a 21st century life with a 20th century instruction manual, and we wonder why we feel lost. But here's the question nobody asks. Who wrote that instruction manual? And more importantly, who profits when you follow it without question? Because the answer might surprise you. Think about what you were actually taught. Go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a job, work hard, get promoted, repeat. Until one day, if you're lucky, you retire. And then you can finally live. They sold you a life where you spend the best years of your body building someone else's dream, and then get to live yours when your body is done. Let me break that down mathematically because nobody ever does. If you work a standard 9 to 5, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year, that's 2,000 hours a year of your life. Over a 40-year career, that's 80,000 hours. 80,000 hours of your one and only life traded for a salary and the promise of a maybe retirement in a body that's 65 years old if your health holds out. And we were told that was the smart plan. Pause for a second. How many of those 80,000 hours have you already spent? And if you could get them back, would you spend them the same way? Drop a comment if that question just hit different. If someone came to you today and said, "Give me the next 40 years of your life, your health, your time with your kids, your dreams, and I'll give you back a fraction of it at the end," would you sign that contract? Maybe you already did. Most people just didn't read what they were signing. Now let's talk about what hard work and hustling actually does and doesn't guarantee in terms of the level of success that is promoted on the other end. Look around you, not at the highlight reels on Instagram. Look at the real world. Your parents who worked 30 years at the same company, your neighbor who's been grinding for a decade, your co-worker who arrives first and leaves last. How many of them are actually wealthy? How many are genuinely free? Most are still broke, still stressed, still one medical bill or car repair away from financial disaster. And it's not because they didn't work hard enough, it's because hard work alone was never the answer. If hard work was the real answer, why are the hardest working people so often the most financially stuck? 68% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck right now. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't try, because hard work alone was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you useful to someone else's wealth. You are not building your dream. You are building theirs. The system doesn't reward the hardest worker. It rewards the smartest owner. School never taught you how to be an owner, only how to comply with the system it helped create. We've all heard it since we were old enough to walk. Hurry up and hustle. We heard it from parents, teachers, and coaches our whole lives. I mean, it has to work, right? Hustle means put your head down, go as fast and as hard as you can while giving everything you've got. Don't ask questions. Just get from point A to point B, and there's a reward waiting for all your hard work and hustle. But what if those very seeds planted early on put you into an always hustle mindset for an always hustle culture that leads to an always hustle trap? Here's the cruel irony of hustle culture. The harder you work, the more you prove to your employer that you can handle more. So they give you more responsibility, more hours, more pressure. You're answering emails at 10 p.m. You're working through lunch. You're their reliable one, which really just means you're the one who never says no. And maybe they give you a little more money, just enough to keep you from leaving, just enough to keep you comfortable, just enough to keep you trapped. They call it a raise. I call it a longer leash. I call it a leash because the higher you go, the harder it is to move horizontally to another company for the same pay, and the harder it is to move vertically within the company you're already a part of. I know, they told you throughout the years that they respect you, value you as a loyal team member, and dare I say, gave you the old, "you're like family to us" speech. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. You know all those times your boss called the team family? All those moments they said they value your loyalty? Here's the test. Walk into their office tomorrow and say, "I'm starting my own company in this industry." Watch how fast that family becomes a legal team. Watch how quickly "we value you" turns into "remember that non-compete you signed?" Because the truth is, they only value you as long as you're building their dream, not yours. Of course not. However, they will remind you about the prenuptial agreement. Sorry, I mean the non-compete and the non-disclosure agreement they had you sign when hiring you. That's why they get you to sign those documents. Because if you are not helping them grow, they don't want you to compete. It is a constant reminder that they need you to hustle for them, not for yourself. When was the last time a raise actually changed your life? Or did it just change your lifestyle enough to need the next one? Now ask yourself, when did work smarter, not harder, enter your life? For most people, it's somewhere in their 30s or 40s, after the panic attack in the office bathroom, after the doctor says your blood pressure is dangerously high, after your kid asks why you're never home, after the divorce papers cite emotional unavailability caused by work stress. Why does wisdom always come with a receipt? Why do we only learn the truth after we've already paid the price? After a decade or more of grinding, after the burnout, after the health scare, after the moment they looked in the mirror and didn't recognize who was staring back. Why is wisdom on a delay? Why do we only hear the truth after we've already paid the price for not knowing it? Because it's not in the system's interest to give it to you early. Think about it. If you understood in your 20s that leveraging other people's time, building assets, and creating systems was the real path to freedom, you wouldn't spend 30 years filling someone else's seats, hitting someone else's targets, making someone else's quarterly numbers look good. An educated worker is an efficient worker, but an enlightened worker is a dangerous one. And the system knows the difference. The people who told you to work hard and always hustle were working hard too. They weren't malicious. They were just inside the same trap, handing you a map they were given. A map that leads right back to the trap door. And the world is changing faster than at any point in human history. Artificial intelligence is reshaping entire industries. Automation is eliminating jobs that hard work builds careers around. Remote work shattered the idea that you had to be physically present to be productive. The rules are rewriting themselves in real time. And here's the question nobody wants to answer. What happens to someone who spent their whole life perfecting a skill that a machine can now do in seconds? Hard work and hustle are a commodity now. Millions of people work hard. It is the bare minimum, not the differentiator. You want to know what separates the people who build real freedom from the people who just stay exhausted? It's not hustle and effort, it's thinking. The most valuable thing you can do in a world full of hard workers is become a clear thinker. I want to be clear about something because I know what some of you are thinking. This isn't an anti-work message. Effort matters. Discipline matters. Showing up matters. But effort without direction is just exhaustion with a good story. The question was never, should I work? The question was always, am I working on the right things, in the right way, toward the right outcome? For me, have you ever sat down and asked yourself, not what your boss needs, not what your parents expect, not what society approves of, but what would genuinely free you? Because most people haven't. And that silence is where the trap lives. Think about two people who graduated college the same year. Person A gets the good job everyone congratulates them for. They work 60 hours a week, climb the ladder, get the raises, buy the nicer car. Person B confuses everyone. They're building something on the side, working 30 hours a week on a skill, a business, a system that generates income even while they sleep. At the 5-year reunion, Person A looks successful. New title, nice suit. Person B looks unconventional. But at the 10-year reunion, Person A is burnt out, medicated for anxiety, and one layoff away from losing everything. Person B owns their time, their income, and their life. Same starting point, completely different destinations. The difference? Person B stopped trading time for money. They started building leverage. The goal was never to work less. The goal was to build something that works for you, instead of spending your life working for something that doesn't. Working smarter isn't laziness. It's the most disciplined thing you can do, because it requires you to think before you act. Not just put your head down and run from point A to point B while someone screams hustle in the background. To ask uncomfortable questions before you commit decades of your life. To resist the pressure to look busy and instead choose to be strategic. What if the bravest thing you ever did wasn't working harder, but stopping long enough to ask if this is even the right direction? Because at the end of your life, nobody is handing out awards for most hours logged. The hustle trophy doesn't exist. What exists is the question you'll ask yourself in the quiet moments. Did I actually build the life I wanted? Or did I just work very hard to help someone else build theirs? The trap wasn't that you worked hard. The trap was that you were never given permission to question whether that was the only way. Consider this your permission. So here's your challenge this week, and I want you to actually do this, not just nod along. Grab a piece of paper or open your notes app right now. Write down this question: where in my life am I hustling hard but still going nowhere? Not where you're being lazy, not where you need to try harder. Where are you already giving 100%, working overtime, sacrificing weekends, saying yes to everything, and the results still don't match the effort? That gap, that's your trap. And now that you can see it, you can escape it. But seeing the trap is only step one. The real question is, what do you do next? That's exactly why we created the Trapped Mindset's Inner Circle. The videos on this channel will show you the traps, but the Inner Circle gives you the tools to get out of them. Every week, subscribers get a practical breakdown, specific steps, mindset shifts, and real strategies for countering the very traps we expose here. The hustle trap? We break down exactly how to audit your time, identify where your effort is leaking, and start redirecting it toward things that actually build your freedom. It's not a theory, it's not motivation, it's the actionable side of everything we talk about on this channel. The link to join the Trapped Mindset Inner Circle is in the description below, and it might be the most valuable thing you do after watching this video. Because awareness without action is just frustration with better vocabulary. Don't just watch this, use it. Subscribe to the channel to get more free content like this. Share this with someone still stuck on the hamster wheel. And drop in the comments. When was the first time someone told you to work smarter, not harder? And how old were you? I'll see you in the next one.